Welcome to Best Wellness Interviews, where successful people share their attitudes on wellness and key strategies that they use for their health and well-being. I'm Kristine Best, wellness strategist, and I'm your host. And today I'd like to welcome to my show Nancy Regan. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Kristine. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. You and I both share similar beliefs about
Yes,
health, so I'm excited.
yeah, I'm really happy to be interviewing you today because you've got some interesting things to share with everybody. So, would you like to share a little about you and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually work with women 40 plus, and I'm a holistic wellness coach, Reiki practitioner, and a guided hiking guide. So I actually believe in connecting women with nature and their authentic self through that way, releasing their subconscious thoughts and their egoic mind and connecting with the inner being. So we're living life from the inside out.
That's awesome. So, how did you get into, helping these women?
So if
Something
I go
significant?
if I go back to age 10, I have to go way back then to the connection, which I did not realize until I became an adult. My early age 10, I actually was a therapist to my mother, and she unfortunately suffered from depression. So I would often be the one sitting there listening to her and, her troubles and things like that. And on the other hand, I still was a child who was outside climbing trees, riding my bicycle, playing in the woods. So I like to say it was sort of a balance. Nature balanced me by listening to all of this, troubles at the age of 10. I will say, my mother suffered from depression, which many people do, a lot of emotional issues, which is very distressing. And through that, as we know, there's a lot of mood swings. And I learned how to become an empath through that as well, because I had to be able to feel what was coming up with her moods. And through that, I also started feeling other people's, mood swings. I could just walk by somebody and feel their energy shifts. And later on, as I grew older, in my teenage years, I started babysitting, and the mothers would come to me. It would be the same thing. It was like I was a therapist. It was just kind of funny. So looking back on that, I like to say that's when my journey began originally. It was at age 10. I got into the physical health field when I was in my 30s. I worked at a fitness center for 14 years. I was all about nutrition and exercise, and I had that aspect as well. So I combined that into my business. And when I reached my 40s, I started discovering myself, my authentic self, and I shifted my business yet again with, again, nature and bringing women into alignment with who they really are. I like to say rediscovering themselves because they're in here. They just need to rediscover what their values and beliefs are.
Yes, I understand exactly what you mean. You're helping them to tap into their own inner resources
Yes.
and and the essence of them, because
Right.
uh, I think it's society generally distracts people from who they are, and they end up taking on other people's expectations, and it takes them away from who they are and what they should be doing in their life, and they end up doing things to please others, or oh, I guess I do this. This is a normal life, and they end up doing that sort of thing rather than following what's in their heart, you know, and their own.
100%. I think like you said, I think it's almost like society dictates, again, through social media, everything that we see. It's like they dictate how we need to live our lives in order to fit in. And
Yeah,
I like to say, only one you need to fit into is you, because that's where your happiness lies, is living authentically and
that's
not,
right,
again,
exactly.
yeah, as you said, not trying to please others, compare yourself to others. And, I do a lot of subconscious work that's
Hmm.
definitely involved when I work with these women, is taking those experiences and rewriting your story, because
Yeah.
based on your childhood or the things you took from society, you developed your story around there, but that's not your authentic story. So we rewrite that and we start from
So
scratch.
you had to go through that process yourself, did you?
I
To discover
did.
yourself?
I did, and it started at age 40. My children were, grown. I left my daughter off. I remember letting her go to, college, and I actually remember being envious. So did not go to college until I actually was in my 40s. If you want to say, I sort of did a 180, and I was on a fast track, as my husband likes to say, I was on a fast track to discovering who I was, what I wanted in life. And that's when I discovered for my authentic self, but through that process also realized where as far as becoming a holistic wellness coach and nature, how that led me back was from, I should say, back to when I was age 10 and led me to where my whole process began in my healing journey, rewriting my story. I like to say I was drinking that Kool-Aid of what society was telling me for years.
Yeah.
And when I finally started tapping into myself, that stopped, you know.
Yeah. And you were able then to set up your own business and help other people because you understood them.
Right. I went through the whole process. I went through the healing. I went through, learning what was being fed to us. Even that, when you're younger, you take on the values and beliefs, of course, of those around you,
Of
family,
course.
friends.
That's right.
Right. So
Your
we need to,
church, school, all of
yeah,
those places.
yes. So we need to learn from ourselves, look back to see where all this started and are those values still yours? Do you believe that still? Or
Mm.
what do you believe? What's your story? Let's rewrite from scratch and go from there. And what I do like to say, you can rewrite a story as many times as you need.
Yeah, well, that's right. Because when you learn something, it changes the values that you had. And when it changes the values, your values, they're deep-seated things. And when they're changed, it's like someone pulls the rug from under you, and it takes a little while to readjust and come to terms with that. And I can say that because through my own experience, through my own learnings, I've experienced the same sorts of things as you, and discovering, that society has a whole bunch of lies that it feeds us, and we don't have to believe them. We can live our own path. We don't have to live a path that's determined by other people's expectations or society's expectations. And so you've got to be what you want your world to be.
I like to say that we all have a gift. I truly believe we all have a gift
We do.
that we
Yep.
are here to share that with the world.
Yes,
And to,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've got talents. We've got talents as people. And people have deep-seated desires or dreams of doing something, but they never act on it and do it. And those people are never probably truly happy because they're not living, as you said, their authentic life. And it is about being the authentic you and not this pretend person or fitting in. I was I never felt like I wanted to fit. I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in anywhere. I describe even the circle of friends that I had. I had two circles of friends, and I used to sit on the edge of the circle in both groups, in both camps. And because I didn't belong to either. And I just, yeah, it wasn't until probably my 60s actually that I found a place where I fitted in. But I was living my authentic life and found, people, like-minded people, and my path. I was on my path, but I was with a group of people who were helping me to continue on my path. And that's what people need to do. They need to surround themselves with people that are going to move them forward in their life to help them fulfill their purpose.
Yeah. No, I do,
And
and
that's
I do believe that everyone you come in contact, there's a lesson to be learned from them. There's something, I believe in reflection, and I use reflection a lot in my practice. And I can honestly say a lot of my friends in the past, and even some as of today, have been absolutely total opposite from me. But I also can say I've learned so much about myself from them. And it's hard to believe because I always am like, why am I attracting these people, that are total opposite from me? But again, it took me years to realize when I was going into, again, that deep, who am I? What am I about? What am I meant to do? And reflecting back on that and how much I learned what I don't want and how much I learned that I do want from, meeting them and being friends with them.
Yeah, I think people come into your life for a reason. And even if they are not particularly good for you, they are good for you because, as you said, you self-reflect, you learn, I do not want to be like that. I need to be like this, and I need to distance myself from people like that, or try and help that person, depending on the situation. So you have to gravitate towards positive, supportive people if you want to make it in life, really.
A
You
hundred
need,
percent.
mm,
Yeah, 100%. And you know, and I'm sure you in your practice you've seen this is society lives in fear. They live in those fear-based insecurities and
I
everything
agree.
they jealousy, anger, comparison. It's all fear-based insecurities, and that's what. Again, I mean, I love social media because there is a lot of good things on there,
Mm-hmm.
but what most people are looking at is
Yep.
not something that they're
Yep.
going to be able to, is tangible enough. They're not going to be able to learn something from that. They're scrolling and just at pictures. And it's important for us to take things and to up level our lives, to
Well,
be
it's
on
like you
that
were
path,
talking.
as you said, of growth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you were talking about before that you don't want to take on other people's negativity or their problems. You've got to remain objective in order to be able to help people. So, but this is where most people in society take on all the negatives that they see and hear in media, uh, and just in everyday life, and the behavior of certain groups of people. They see things like that, and they take that sadness and that frustration, that anger on board, and that affects their behavior and the way they feel. Um, and they can end up with depression. And so people don't realize they've done that. It's just a gradual process. And what you're doing is actually stepping in to break that cycle.
Right, right. It's looking at, I like to call it the energy, right? That negative energy that, as you said, you're taking in from watching this all the time. And I believe in keeping up on the current news, but in small little increments. You don't need to sit there and watch it
Yeah.
continually on TV, on the phone. And I like to take little pause moments, I work inside of an office during whether I get up a lot, I don't sit well, and I move around. I take breaks, even from my phone, go for a walk if I'm able to step outside for a few minutes. I am big
Mm.
on nature. I am all about nature. It's part of my practice. So even if I'm able to just sit outside for 10 minutes on the bench, feel the sun on my, body, the sky, look at the blue sky, the trees, all that positive energy.
Yep.
And it fills you. It literally fills you up. And you go back in, your whole nervous system is calm, your mind is calm, and you can look at things with a different perspective.
Yep. I advocate having at least 20 to 30 minutes every day where you have no commitments, no interruptions, no nothing, just you watching the leaves fall somewhere. And that's just an analogy, but you could walk along the beach, you could walk in the park, you can feel the grass tickle your toes, just like you said, listen to the breeze, feel it on your face, and get in touch with the moment now And what
Right.
people often try to do is either live in the past or in the future. And so if they're trying to live in the future, it could be anxiety and it could be all sorts of things. If they're living in the past, it could be depression. And so you need to be in the moment now. And having that time out, as you were just describing, is perfect to bring you back to a balance. And people don't do that long enough to get there.
They don't think about it because they have such a long list, laundry list, right, of what they have to do. And
Yep,
this is the thing, it's not all about the doing, it's about
yep.
just the pause, just about the pause. And so for me, I like to do little breakups because I know everyone's busy. Maybe they have families, their work schedule. But even if you give those small increments, because those small
Mhm.
increments are going to calm your entire being. And I even believe if you can't step outside, to use the breath. So I will use breath within my work and my practice as well.
Breath is
Just,
good. Yeah.
yeah, four simple, cycles of breathing. Again,
It
I'm big
just
on close.
changes. It just takes people away from the turmoil or whatever's going on, and it takes them into themselves. And there's this inner calm when, especially when you're breathing. It's very good.
And as you said, with the, emotional distress, the entire nervous system is calm. You had talked about people worrying about the past or thinking about the future. And I'm sure you noticed that 95% of our thoughts are from yesterday.
Is that right?
95%. Scientific studies have found that. So we're
Oh,
worrying
wow.
about something that's already happened instead of the present moment, as you said. And out of that, 80% are negative. They're of lack, fear-based
That's
insecurity,
right.
self-doubt,
Yep.
lack of self-love, lack of self-acceptance. It's all beating. I like to say you're beating yourself up,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate with that. But as you said, if you take that time to be present, which we don't
Yeah.
do enough because we're always doing, it's
Yeah.
just stopping in the moment. I have a practice for myself I had started quite a few years ago is just to meditate before I even go to work. I do an 11-minute meditation. It took me a bit to build up to that. But I believe you can just start out with a minute, up to 5 minutes, and just to sit there again, close your eyes, let your thoughts come like a wave. I like to have a focal point. I start off, I found it easy. I use a live plant. I have a pretty plant I actually put in front of me. You're getting that energy from the plant, and you can focus on that. I personally now close my eyes, but I still have that plant there because I like that energy from life. But I think
Yep.
it's a great way to start out if you can find something to focus on with that.
Yeah.
And it sets you up for a positive day. I can tell you it changed my entire day. I used to be somebody who would be running out the door, trying to do 50 million things before I even left, so stressed out. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I was at work, bad mood, anything set me off. I was very reactionary.
Yep.
Now it's
You're
almost
already on
like,
it. You're
yes,
already
yes,
on edge.
yes, on edge. But now I walk in, I can step back if there's a situation going on. I'm absolutely calm. I can really say I have no stress. I don't have any stress because I do this. And I do take the time for the reflection, like at the end of the day, to reflect back on what happened. Because I do believe through reflection, you can learn again about something about yourself, or
Yep.
maybe how you'll react differently, or you
Yeah.
won't react.
Well, it's changing people's thought patterns and opening up new neural pathways in their mind so that they have more uh, thought power, and
Yes.
they can think more critically and make better decisions. But they have to be able to divorce themselves from the emotion long enough to be able to do that. So they have to be able to recognize it. And that's where you and I teach people how to do that,
Yes.
because people get caught up in the heat of the moment, and there's all this emotion and energy, negative kind of energy that they don't know how to deal with. And so we give them strategies and techniques that they can use um, to change the way that they, because it's not about like it's they're reacting rather than responding. You
Right.
you you want to choose how you respond rather than just you know, in the heat of the moment,
And
say
as you
something you're
said,
going to regret.
right, and it's something, as you said, that is something that is learned, and everybody can learn it, and it will become a habit, just the
That's right.
same as you have formed a habit of becoming
Mhm.
reactionary. As soon as you feel something, you're jumping instead of
Yeah,
feeling, okay,
yeah,
and then letting it go so you can take time to pause and think about, as you said, how you want to respond, if you want to respond,
yeah.
and then go from there. Um, Believe me, I am somebody, which is hard to believe, but I was extremely reactionary and not in a good way. I took
Mm.
it, I think a lot of people, take it as criticism, right? Everything that happens, and it's a projection. So we often project. What we project is things we need to work on.
Yep,
And if you,
that's correct.
realize that, right? Yeah, you know that through your practice, and I'm sure you help people work on that too. But I can sit back now, even at myself, and look at what I used to do and be like, oh, wow, boy, I'm glad I worked on that. But I can see it. And what I want to
Mm,
say is we all do this. It's not like I'm special. No,
mm.
I went through all this. I used to do all that.
That's
But through the work, now I know and I'm able to teach other women, but it's
yeah,
not like we're on a pedestal because we've been through it and everyone does it. It's not,
that's right.
yeah,
Yep.
you don't have to
We've
feel
all got our
ashamed of it.
we've all got our issues to overcome, things about
Yes.
ourselves we need to learn and work on, as you said. So inside everybody is a gem. We just have to buff off the rough edges, and outshines this, lovely person God created and wants to shine. So everyone's got their own inner gem to reveal. They just need to quite often have someone help them to reveal it.
Right. And it is. It's often they don't do that. So having a coach or, whoever you choose to, connect with, to work with, you can see, right? So you're a neutral party and you can see what needs to be worked on through your talk, different exercises that you give them through that, to be able to
Yeah,
look at that and pick out where maybe needs, because I always go through a list, right? What needs to be worked on first. Maybe it's not what we're thinking after our first conversation. I usually break through call, but then actually we first start working together and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is more important than what they actually want to do. Because if we work on
yeah,
this, we're going to get to the end result, being able to write that story, you feeling confident and empowered and more happy and joyful in your life. I
yeah.
like to consider it like we're a puzzle, right? So through all of our experiences, through the people, the things that we experience, we find that piece, that puzzle, and then we put it together to be able to form who we are, be aligned with our authentic self. And I believe that's what life is in general. We're here to find that. So even during those struggles, when I had told you the story of, being a therapist to my mom, somebody's like, oh, could you forgive her? And I said, absolutely. And I
Mm.
will tell you why I can forgive her in a moment. But that led me to where I am today. And I can share this wisdom, but I also helped me to be able to align with myself. If I did not go through that, I would not have learned all those lessons and have gotten to be where I am today.
You know, I have to. I'm just laughing at my thoughts. A lot of people do psychology and psychiatry because they're on a journey to discover themselves. But you know what? I don't think psychiatry actually helps you discover who you are. Um, I think that people like you and me, who are coaches who've actually lived through it, who understand what it feels like, and then to know how to overcome it, you are in a better position to help someone uh, break through the clouds, to come to a point of clarity, rather than using drugs. Because look, I think drugs may have a place in extreme cases just to get the person over that hump, but I don't agree that they continue or should continue to need high doses of drugs when the problem is usually their thought patterns, and they're the things that need to be changed. And certainly I would advocate non-invasive natural methods first before you start piling in the drugs, because that creates other problems with the person. And then they have reactions to it, and and after a while the body kind of gets used to it and it doesn't work as well, and they've got to change it. So it's better if you can find something that's going to have a permanent effect, that is a natural remedy, as opposed to giving them a drug. That's how I feel.
100%.
Hmm.
I agree. I can tell you, one of my former clients, she had anxiety. Now, I've known her for quite some time. I've worked with her twice, and she even got to the point, I don't want to be on this. I feel like I'm being numbed. I'm
Mhm.
numbed.
Because it's
And
unnatural. They feel
right,
it, it's unnatural to their
right.
body.
Yeah. And you're not getting to, let's get to the root of the problem.
That's
I
right.
don't believe in band-aids, and this is the thing. So as my
Same
whole
here.
progression, everything I see people a quick fix, quick fix. This is band-aids that we're going to quick put it on because that band-aid's going to fall off. Let's find what the root cause of the problem is. And because I can guarantee you know that. It's
Mm.
in here. You just have to do the work so we can unveil that and then we can work through.
Yeah, there
And
was a woman who was a client of mine way back in the 1990s, and when I had my clinic in Sydney, and she'd been right through the system, doctors, physios, chiropractors, naturopaths, everybody. She tried, nobody was fixing her problem. She came to me and she said to me, Kristine, you're my last resort. Do you think you can help me? And I said, yeah, I can help you, but how much I can help you, I don't know right now. Give me 3 to 5 sessions and you will know. We'll both know, right? Her problem, she had a physical problem, back, neck, and shoulder problem, right? But her problem was she was harboring uh, these thoughts that were festering basically from her teens, because she didn't remember what this was until a couple of weeks in the, during down through the therapy. And she said to me, Kristine, I was raped by my uncle at 13, right? And I said, well, that'll be your problem. Now that we know, we can fix this, right? And she started to get better. And of course, I still had to treat the symptoms because they'd been there for so long, but she got better, you know.
you got to the
People
root of the problem.
got to
Yeah.
the root of the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody was treating her symptoms.
And that's what happens. And another thing, you have to be your own advocate. This is my big thing. You have to be your own advocate. Do not, just because the doctor says this, do your homework before you actually jump and say yes.
Mm,
There are, I truly believe, other ways of, again, as we discussed, working on it. We all know nutrition, right? For instance, nutrition, okay, your gut health affects your mental health. Your mental health affects your gut health. So it's a big cycle. So it's very
yeah.
important. And I talked quickly at the beginning about nature. So I had used to hike, my gosh, about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, with a couple of gentlemen in a group in a local mountain. Both of them, one suffered from depression, the other anxiety. Both doctors that they had gone to, separate doctors, wanted them to go on medication. And they were like, nope, we are going to try outdoors hiking first. Neither of them went on medication. Both of them were able to stay balanced
Mm,
in their well-being because of what they did. So, and for myself, nature helped me. So that's why I incorporate nature as well in my business, because it is, I like to say, number one, as soon as you set foot on that ground. You're grounding yourself. I like to call it recycling energy. So all that negativity is going into the ground and filling you up with positivity. Your mind is calm. Okay, so again, your whole nervous system is calm. All your whole thought process, you're in the now. You're not even thinking. All you're doing is taking in that surrounding the beauty of the green trees and then the oxygen, right, that we breathe in. Hearing the
Yep.
birds chirp is all a meditative, I consider it all a meditative wellness. And if you've heard of forest bathing, they've done studies on that with mental and physical health issues and just being outdoors for there was 20 to 30 minutes, how it could
Mm.
change your entire system. And
Yep.
so it's incredible. And I have from other people witnessed this, from myself, I've witnessed this. So I combine that. It's very important with my practice to do that. Even if
Like,
women aren't local, they still go outdoors, and that's part of the prescription, if you want to say, or
yep.
exercise.
Oh, yeah. Any activity is essential. Uh, People don't realize that air, water, and food are equally important to a person as movement. The body was
100%.
meant to move.
Yeah.
And so that should be included as one of your essentials. Any movement, it could be dancing,
It-
you know?
100%. I have been
Yeah,
known to dance around my kitchen, I can tell you, and it changes your mood like that. It's
it does.
incredible.
Yeah,
It's
it helps to normalize your hormones, exercise, and that's why. And people with depression tend to hibernate indoors, right? And they don't exercise; they just hide away. And so, if they can actually make themselves get out and walk, walking is one of the simplest, easiest things to do. Doesn't cost anything, just a little bit of time, right? And if they did that, they'd start to feel a whole lot better. Yeah.
And I liked, Kristine, that you used the word move, because I prefer to use the word move than exercise, because I feel
People
that
don't
people
like
think of exercise,
exercise.
right? Yeah, I have to be in the gym lifting weights. I have to
Yeah.
be, doing all this stuff there. No, do whatever. As you said, dance, go for a bike ride, go for a walk, just move. That's it. Every day, do a little something for
Yeah.
yourself. And I've had other people in the past, I'm so tired. But yet, when they start incorporating movement, they
It
have
gives them
more
energy.
energy.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
And they don't realize that. They don't realize that. But once they do that, they're like,
Mm.
wow, that they have that. It's incredible, the
Yeah.
difference they can do. But I'm 100% on board with finding the natural remedies. And again, unless, sometimes it's that clinical depression that may have been from, generations that have, come. But again, where did that come from? Can you do something natural about that? What's the root cause? If you don't mind it. So I want to tell you about my mom, like I said, who suffered from depression. Do you know, I feel so bad. Until she was in her 80s, she passed away at 84. Until she was in her 80s, she did not tell me what happened. She
Oh,
carried around for years that her neighbor, I do not know what happened, she didn't go into details, but she said, the neighbor did something to me. And she
oh,
carried that around for years. And this is why it's so important
yeah.
to do the work. Now, back then, I feel especially people did not talk about this. She was born in like 1925. They never talked about it. It was hush hush. You never say anything. But I could not believe, like my mouth dropped when she told that, and everything made sense on why she was and the way she was, why she suffered from depression. She always had something against men. That made sense. And for her granddaughters, she was worried sick about them all the time, always telling me, I hope nothing happens to them, watch them. And her whole story, all of a sudden, I'm like, uh-huh,
Mm.
now I know. And my heart was so sad for her that she suffered, and
All
nobody
that
needs
time.
to suffer all that
No,
time.
that's easy to get out.
Yes.
I've written a song, and it's called "So Many Bridges in My Mind." And that's the first line of that song is "So many bridges in my mind want to take me to places I don't want to find."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that sums up where most people are at. They're carrying something and they don't want to go back over that bridge to the past to address it. And that's what happened with the woman I was telling you about earlier. She had to go back and address it. And I helped her do that. I wrote her a program of what to do and how to do it and what she can expect to happen and all that sort of thing. And, people don't realize the power of going back and facing it. It takes courage, takes guts to go down that path, especially if it's traumatic or um, really abhorrent or something, I mean, but you've got to face it, you've got to deal with it, you've got to put it into perspective. Then you can open the drawer, put it in, close that, say, okay, it's in there and I can get that out and I can help someone else through that and I can put it to positive use. But while it's festering, it's causing problems within you, and it needs to be
100%.
dealt with.
As you said, it's, she was having physical ailment problems,
Mm.
and this is the thing. It affects your
Yeah,
physical health, not just your mental health, but your physical
that's
health.
exactly right. It does.
And that's what people need to realize, that connection with that. And I like to say that everybody's traumatic experience is absolutely different. I even like to say, so, and this is just an analogy, but if you were the one always chosen last in school to play on, say, the kickball team, you always were chosen last, that can have an everlasting effect on you. So,
Absolutely.
so this is where it's not like, oh, well, my traumatic event, it isn't as bad as somebody else's. That's not what it's about. It's
No.
what you stored within yourself. That experience, it was traumatic to you. It
Mm.
shifted your entire life at a young age, and you're still carrying that.
Well,
And
the
until
people
you,
people people think that that's who I am from an experience that happened to them. So that person at school who was chosen last all the time, they think, oh, I'm no good at anything, and I'm always, I'm not going to be able to help any, but I'm not going to be able to do anything because I'm just no good. And that's what kids do. That's the kind of thought pattern that a kid will do. They'll take that on board for the rest of their life. Yeah.
yeah,
And they're the issues we have to help people overcome. And once they break through that, it's like, oh, new lease on life.
it's liberation. I call it
It,
liberation.
it is.
That's
It is
it's unbelievable. It's such
freedom.
freedom, right? And I like to say, I even use the analogy going into nature, when before you step in, you have all this baggage on you, right? And as you go, every step, you're clipping off that baggage because it's all falling off of you. You're letting it go, just dropping it, putting it to the wayside. And you're able to be with who you are. And I think it's very important to connect, as you said, with the now. And that's through taking moments for reflection, taking moments to sit, by the water, do some, meditation, breath work, just being
Mm.
present, because that's when you're able to look and discover. You may have whatever has happened to you buried so deep, because that's what we do, because we don't want to feel the pain. Who likes pain? Not me.
No,
Nobody
that's right.
does.
Nobody
Okay.
does.
But like you, I did the work as well. So we know that going through that pain, it is
It's
so
worth it.
therapeutic. It is worth it. So therapeutic and so freeing. And like you said, you can take your story and help somebody else up level
Mm.
their life
Mm.
and be the person that they are in
That's
here.
right. That's right.
100%. It's just, and it's with society, it's always about, again, the quick fixes, no pain, no this, just, everyone's supposed to feel calm and comfortable. Everything's supposed to be great. It's not supposed to rain when we don't want it to rain. It's just like this ridiculous stuff. I remember asking this gentleman like a month ago at work. I came in, how was your weekend? Well, it's over. So yeah, it was good. And I'm like, what?
What?
It's over. I said, and I just thought, how sad. I said, because whether it rains or it's sunny, make that special, because there is something special in that day, you
Yeah,
know?
there's got to be something that was good in that day. There
Yes,
must have been.
100%. But we always, again, because of that thought process, like I said, 80% of our thoughts are negative.
Negative.
That's where we go. We feed into that Okay. Egoic mind, which is full of fear. Okay. And the egoic mind cannot survive without fear. So if you say are worried about something from the past or the future, the mind needs to start coming up with a story, okay, to be able to make that become a reality. And so then it keeps, you're worrying, say, constantly about, say you said something to somebody yesterday and you think it over. How many times we've done that? You think it over and over and over again. Well, that's already
It's a
done.
self,
You
it's
will
a
say that again.
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, yes. It's, you can't go back to yesterday. You can't go till tomorrow. So all you have is here. So what can you do?
That's
So,
right.
you
People
know,
focus on the problem, not the solution,
correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
That's
that's
a,
what this loves. The ego loves it, you know? It's
yeah,
just, and it's what I want to say is if people understand that, you always hear people say, you are not your thoughts. Okay. It's the same as not identifying with that ego. That's not who you are. Who you are is in your heart center. You can call it your heart center, your chakra, your soul, whatever you want. But that's where you are here. And I know in the beginning we talked about this, you and I, feeling, right?
mm,
Emotions. Feel, listen in here because this is always talking to you. Your heart center is always talking to you. This is your cheerleader. This is the one that wants you to succeed and sees you in great adventures, reaching your gift that you're going to share with the world and
that's
your
right.
wisdom,
Hmm.
that's there. So when you can tap into that, which when we do this work with our clients, they're able to tap into that and they
Yeah.
can disconnect from this. I'm not saying this won't come up, you know, it will come up, but you can be like,
This is
there goes that
learned.
ego again. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all learned stuff. This is the
Yep.
real essence of
Correct.
you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now it's time to learn here, to
that's right.
learn and listen from here because this is the real knowledge is
And
there.
people think it's selfish to do that. They don't realize, hang on a minute, I need to get off this hurdy-gurdy. I need to get off and I need to look after me. And during our conversation, there are 3 or 4 songs that have come up that I've written that are pertinent because one of them was about everybody wants a piece of me, and there's only so much to go around, right? And there are lines in that say, I want to please everybody, but I know I can't. As other people are just going to have to step in and help, and I need to learn to say no. And if I don't look after myself, I'm not going to be here for you. So that whole song is about that scenario because people don't like to say no to people. But you've got to learn to say no. And there's
Yes.
times when no is appropriate and times when no, I've got to do this, But if you find that balance, then you won't be overcome. Uh, and there was and there's so many bridges thing. There's a line in there that talks about once you've gone back and addressed those issues, you ride the wave of freedom.
Like that.
That's actually a line that I put in that song. And there was another song. It was about uh, the words that you say. You know, if you knew how powerful your words could possibly be, you would never think, or never say anything negatively. And if we can speak to plants and make them grow better because they've proven that scientifically, imagine
Yeah.
what that will do to your son, daughter, friend,
100%.
spouse, and so on. So it's yes, that's about negative thoughts. You need to think positive and say positive things because
100%.
the
And I love
thoughts
the
are
plant
extremely.
thing because when I meditate with that plant, you should see how much that plant has grown. I had to repot it. It's doing unbelievable. And like I said,
Yeah.
it's factual. It's scientifically proven
Well,
how
it's like
plants.
nurture. If you look at
Yeah.
animals, if
Yep.
say a lion cub is born and the mother doesn't lick it and pay any attention to it, it'll die, right?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. It's love, nurture, touch, feel, energy transfer. It all contributes. And this is where the electronic world, this technology that we have, it's a very big danger. And that's another one of my pet areas, apart from posture and ergonomics. That's a pet area, as well as helping people on their, mental journey. But
Yeah.
technology is a problem because people are sitting for such long hours and they're not actually outdoors doing movement. And it's not, you're not actually getting the full experience with a human being. You're like, we've only got a bust shot basically. And that's what it usually is when you're zooming in on meetings and things like that. And you're not with the person feeling their energy. You're not shaking their hand or touching them on the shoulder saying good job, or you know what I mean? We're missing out on that human touch
Connection. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
connection. So there are areas that people need to pay attention to because they socialize, social media, and they ring their friends on on the phone, or it's just all technology, and people are playing video games and so on. They're filling their life with technology, and they're not having the human interaction, and that's really, really going to become a problem. I can see it
It
in the
already
future.
is,
Well, it already
it's
is, but
right.
I can see,
So
yeah,
yeah, but it's going to be worse, and it's going to continue to get worse. And that's why it's up to us to teach
yeah,
others the importance of being in nature,
yeah,
just outdoors in nature, anywhere by a tree, sit under a tree at lunch, every day I'm outside. Every single day at work, I step outside and I eat outside and I relax. Sometimes I'll have a book depending what's going on. And if it's raining and I can't go out, I'm sitting right by a window so I
yeah,
can look out and see the trees. And, yes, there's sun there. It's just covered by the clouds, but, just to be there. But it's very, very important. And
I
what I want
agree.
to say,
And natural light as well.
yeah, 100%. This all affects us mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We haven't talked about spirituality, but it's so important to our lives. And when people talk about spirituality, it's not religion.
No,
It's whatever you want it to be.
yeah.
It can be the divine, the universe, Buddha, whatever it is to you, but you need to tap into that because it's that higher purpose
Yes,
that all
people
need.
people neglect that. People neglect their
Oh,
spirituality.
yes, it's very much neglected, and I feel like that's the big piece that's missing. That I feel it's very important. And again, I incorporate that. I don't push it.
No,
I talk to my clients about it
same
and see
here.
how they are. All my
Mm,
clients, though, have taken it on. All of them. There's not
yeah,
been one that has said no, but I'm not somebody that preaches dogma. If you don't like
no,
something, I'll tweak something, but
yeah. I'm the same. I raise this issue in my seminars and presentations, but because it's part of your wellness.
right, 100%. Yeah.
And so wellness is the whole you, not just part of you. It's not just nutrition and exercise. It's much, much more than that.
I
And
so
so, yeah.
I have my business is based off of the Native American medicine wheel. Oh, I don't know if it's you have the mental, the spiritual, the natural, and the physical. So having all those aspects, covered because they make you whole when all that is
Well,
in balance.
but I include like social as well because you need the social interaction. Yeah.
That's actually part of it. That is part of it as well. So if it breaks down, it was in a book I had read, and it all breaks down. It's all that it has social connections, everything that we need within those four parts, and social
Yep.
is in there because it's what do I want to say? Community, right? It's a community. We need to be a
Yes.
community. When we're a community, all of us
Mhm.
coming together, sharing our ideas, is not only lifting us up, it's uplifting the world when we
Yeah.
come together,
Mhm.
so it's very important with that. But yeah,
Yeah, well, it's
love it.
been a fantastic conversation, and I've really enjoyed interviewing you. There is one more aspect that I would like to investigate, though. What
Yes.
what are your feelings and thoughts on nutrition and eating healthy food and things like that? Is that part of your routine?
So mine 100%. That was a big shift as well. I had, taken throughout my life. When I reached 40, I started on the nutritional path, more movement. I was in the gym, using weights or training, simply because my body type, I'm more prone to like osteoporosis and things like that. So I take care of myself, but nutrition is very important. I believe in more of an 80 or 90% rule. So you can still have that little treat here and there, but every morning I have a big breakfast. It's all the different color vegetables. It's pretty much a cup of spinach, it's a cup of onions, different color peppers, tomatoes, in an omelet, egg white omelet. And, I believe in 5 meals during the day. So I only eat fish, so I'm a pescatarian. And so I have that throughout the day too, little snacks, carrots, hummus. But nutrition is very important. It's not a big aspect of mine. It used to be. When I first started the business, I actually was focusing on exercise and nutrition, and I helped several people. But I worked again with them and realized it was more about getting to the root cause of why have you gained X amount of weight? Why are you not exercising? Why do you feel depressed? Why are you anxious? And all of it goes back to what happened to them in childhood. They had healing they had to do. They kept pushing it. It was pushed so down far inside of them that they didn't realize it, that this was causing the nutritional health problems, their weight problem, the choices in the food, their exercise, that they weren't exercising or having physical ailment. But so I shifted it, and I do include nutrition, but it's not my main aspect. We talk about it.
Yeah.
And but mainly I focus on that, getting to the root cause of the problem, the subconscious work, egoic work, aligning with your authentic self and rewriting your story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
How about yourself? Do you do a lot of nutrition or?
I do. I include nutrition,
Yeah.
exercise. I teach people about how the body works in as simple a way as I possibly can, but I want to give them an appreciation for what they have inside them.
Yeah.
And then that way, hopefully, they'll look after it more.
Yeah. Well, this is what do you say? This is like our vehicle, if you want to say. If the vehicle is not working well, right? If you don't tune it up and take care of it and give it the oil that it needs, the
You
correct
won't
oil and things like
you
that,
won't
then
get very far.
right, you won't get very far. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Nancy, for your time today. Well, there's just one more thing I think I want to ask you. Are there any bigger than you projects that you work on? Do you do anything in the community, or do you, I don't know, help outside of just you and your work? Are there other things you do?
So I have in the past, I did 13 years of animal rescue. I was
Mm.
highly involved in that. I started a hiking club at the community college that I work for. I ran that for 7 years because of the students' depression, anxiety, worry, panic attacks. So I did that. I was on the conservation committee. I've always done
Wow.
volunteering. I was in a women's business group for a couple of years. I just finished that. I'm now joining another group, more local. Someone was over the border in the other states. So I 100% believe in giving back to the community. And as we give back, we learn something about ourselves, and also something that they can take. I believe it's like all of us sharing wisdom together and just helping the world. I said this years and years ago to my husband, that if every single human being gave 1 hour a month, 1 hour a month to something that they cared about, we could
Will
help
make a
the
big
entire world.
difference.
Yes.
That's
one
true.
hour. That's it. 1 hour for
And
every
you,
person.
and you know what? Giving back in some way to others or the community actually is good for your wellness. It boosts your good feel hormones, and it makes you feel good in so many ways. So
Yes.
that boosts your wellness.
100%. I agree.
N-
Absolutely. I never felt better in all the work that I had done volunteering. I always was, uplifted. I felt positive. Again, giving back. And that's what we are meant to. Honestly, I feel like in life, we are all meant to give
Meant
back.
to. I
We
agree.
are.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
wonderful. I find that all successful people give back in some way, invariably. Successful people give back. And, you know, people who have lots of money give back in lots of different ways, how they can help the world. And other people give back in time, or they give back in some talent that they have. But that giving back is making a difference in people's lives. Yeah.
I think,
I'm
again,
work
it's, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that I'm working on a sustainability project in Uganda with two other Australian businessmen, and we are helping them to set up a sustainability farm. And when that's set up, they'll become self-sustainable.
That's wonderful. Yeah. We're
So
all
that would
here.
be awesome.
That's incredible. Yeah. We're all here to help others. You know, um, it's not just about us. It's about
Yeah.
the collective. I like to say the word the collective. It's about all of us because we're all more connected than people think. People feel like it's just us, me, or it's just me. It's not just me because all of us, what happens to one happens to all of us.
Well, that's right. And yes, you can feel grieving when you see bad things happening in the world. So we're connected in that way, even if you just look at that. But that warmth that feeling you get when you see a smile on someone's face when you've helped them, it's invaluable to both you and them, and it just heightens that connection that we have. But if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, um, you've got your food, water, shelter, and then you can look for socialization, and it's that belonging. Human beings are made that way. We're wired that way to want to belong somewhere. So humans need that connection, need it.
I just, as long as you are belong as your authentic self,
Yeah.
that's just my thing. That's one thing. I did a discussion a couple of weeks ago about belonging. And, as long as you're coming as yourself and not
Yeah.
coming feeling you have to change who you are to belong.
Well, people belong to groups that they're not really meant to belong to. They need to find their group,
Yes.
their tribe. I mean, people
Yes.
use that
Right.
kind of,
Right.
terminology,
Right.
but it's finding the people that you feel or that you resonate with, you know. So it's not just a matter of belonging to a group; it's belonging to the right group.
Correct. 100%. Yeah. We had that conversation earlier. I absolutely
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. And, you and I are pretty much on the same page with so much, the mind, body, soul, wellness, and it's so important. And I hope people can take something, that they can use in our conversation that we had today and be able to help form their own life and up level it. I like to use the term up level because I feel like everyone is meant to up level their life.
Absolutely. And, you know, they're welcome to reach out to you and me. So there's no excuse for you to stay stuck in your life, none at all. So what we'll do, I'll put your contact details on in the description when I load it up onto YouTube.
Thank you so much. I loved being here. Thank you, Kristine. This was wonderful.
Thank you very much. It's been a very, very interesting conversation. It's great to meet you, Nancy, and you have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.